off with the best game, the original game. And we all know that the first and original are the best. Old games better than the new ones. We all know this. So today we're going to play some Play Shelf Trade. And for those of you that are new, we'll let you know that Play Shelf Trade is a segment where we take 3 games and each choose out of those games which one we'd like to play right now, which one we want to shelf later, and trade away for something better. But you can also manipulate it however you'd like. Today we have the Godfather Corleone's Empire, Godzilla, Tokyo Clash. Sorry, but many 2 ads on games, and Jaws. So I will go ahead and start it here because it's this, my segment. I started this. It was all my brainchild. No one helped at all. And I'm going to go with, oh man. Okay, so we're just going to, oh man. I guess I'll just jump to it. I'm going to go ahead and put Godfather as my shelf. That game I really enjoyed. It has some feels of Tammany Hall, but not exactly. And I really like Tammany Hall. And so maybe it's just the board and the fact that it's area control makes me feel that way. But regardless, I really enjoyed my play of Godfather. It felt good thematically. The mechanics were tight. It played well. It felt right. Sometimes you have the game, and the problem with the theme is that the play doesn't feel right. Even if it hits all the spots, it just doesn't feel right. Like viticulture feels right with the theme. So that's what Godfather does, and I love it. I know everyone talks about how I talk about other games during this thing, but I'm trying to give people perspective on why I feel the way I do, people. Anyways, so then I'm going to go with, I've not actually, unfortunately, got either Jaws nor Godzilla Tokyo Clash. Gosh, 2 stupid ads on phone games. I can't, it messes with my head all the time. And I'm gonna go with that Godzilla Tokyo Clash because I've seen the game. It looks really good. And at first I was like, okay, it's miniatures and it's cheap and it's an IP. It's probably trash. But I've heard from a lot of people that I trust. They're like, it's actually pretty fun for what it is. So I definitely want to put that as my play and finally get it to play because I've honestly wanted to play it for a long time before we started talking about this. And because of it, I guess I'll go ahead and trade Jaws just because I have to. Mostly because I haven't really heard anything about this game except from John. And John likes the game just because of theme. And that's not great. So I'll go ahead and trade that one to be safe. But I think there's possibly some upside with it as well. All right, Hansa. So what you got?
Well, before we throw it to Hansa and waste all of our time, can I just say a few things about your observations there? First of all, if you're wondering why we're doing 3 games based on movies, it's because we're going to be talking about Dune Imperium and the Great Game Debate, which people say that's about a movie. So, but viticulture, I kind of cringed at what you said, but now I agree. You're right. Godfather embraces the theme of the exciting underworld of gritty crime in the same way that viticulture embraces watching grapes grow. It's just as exciting. So there we go. I think you're right. I thought I disagreed with you, but I do agree with you, Chris. Good job.
Well done there. Also, you baited me in. I was like, oh, okay, John's turn a leaf. He's actually decided to like the game that has the most theme and good gameplay of all time that somehow, which makes no one sense at all that you don't like. And then I got baited in and I was like, oh no, here it is. Here it comes.
It's too close to the theme. We're watching grapes grow. Sorry. But all right, Hansa, lay it on us.
I was going to say that Godfather was going to be my trade, but since since Chris said that it was just like viticulture, I guess that's going to be my shelf because I love viticulture, and if Godfather and viticulture are essentially the same game, then I must have that game. Now, Godzilla, he terrifies me, so that's going to be my trade. And then Jaws, he also terrifies me, so that's going to be my trade as well. I don't want to play either of these. I'm not a big fan of scary monsters.
Yeah.
Well, it's not exactly how you play the game, Hansa, but you gave it the good college try, so that's fine.
I give Hansa points on brevity. So
that's true. That's right.
That's all I was hoping for.
Points for being to the point.
Yes.
That's right. Well, I'll take it from here, Hansa.
Thank you.
So let's get this back on track. I think Godfather has to be my shelf, and I apologize now. I have a feeling it could be John's shelf as well, so we might get consistency there. But it's just such a good game. It's probably one of the most underrated Eric Lang games as well. I don't know why this game doesn't it gets overlooked. I think it's just because of the theme. I think people think Godfather the movie and they're like, oh, I don't want any part of it. But if they made it like general, just generic mobster, I think people would take a look at it a lot closer. And if you've dismissed it because of its theme, I strongly encourage you guys to give it a try. It's worker placement, area control, and it's aggressive. It has so much that we want in a lot of games. Godzilla Tokyo Clash is going to be my play. Actually, Andy actually owns this game because he's a big Godzilla fan, and I got to play it with Andy. And this is a skirmish game that Andy actually enjoyed, and me and him actually played it, and it was surprisingly good. You can pick up cars, you can chuck it at buildings. Very unique system for what it is. Now the problem is there'll probably be no expansion, especially since the design studio got sold off, Prospero Hall. So I don't know if we're going to see any more of it, which will be a big hinder on there. Also why I wouldn't want it on my shelf, because the replayability is going to lack eventually. And then Jaws, I have no emotional attachment to Jaws. I watched them as a kid, but I didn't really care about it. And it's a 1 versus many, and I already have too many 1 versus many games, and I would rather play almost any other 1 versus many game than this Jaws game. I think it's 1 versus many. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys, but there you go. My Jaws is my trade, Godzilla is my play, and Godfather is my shelf.
So Daniel,
John, are you going to prove me? Oh, sorry. What was that, Chris?
Yeah, I was going to say, so you don't think it's actually the theme of Godfather that put people off, but the fact that it's an IP?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense, because I was like, people love mobsters. Like, what are you talking about? Like, okay, now I got you. Now, since they see IP and just move on, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because while IP games are making a resurgence and people can get behind them nowadays, you still only get the IP games that you enjoy. Like, so if you don't like Godfather, and I think John is one that doesn't really like the IP of Godfather. Like,
all right,
so why...
yeah, let me say what I think about it.
No, I'm going to speak for you, John. So just sit back and
we got this. Don't you worry.
Anyways, yeah, I think it's definitely the IP.
Yes, just to expand on what Daniel said there. Yes, The Godfather, I'm sorry, but we're going to get into the Godfather movie now, because back in the day, when DVDs were a big deal, okay, and I got my first DVD player. I'm old school. Chris says he's old school, but no, there's no old school like my old school. I joined a DVD
I'm old
club.
in the mind.
I joined a DVD club, the things they tell you never to do, right? But you get, 80 DVDs for a penny. Yes. And so I said, give me.
I did not know you got suckered in by Columbia.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah. So give me Godfathers 1, 2, and 3, man. These are supposed to be the best. I love me some, some mobster movies. And I just don't get the appeal of the Godfather. And people say, oh, every guy can quote Godfather because it's a slow, boring 70s movie. It's every trope that's in any 70s movie, and it's only to the max, where there's no editing, it's oh, here's the guy driving down the street, and then he's going to park here, and then he's going to get out, and he's going to walk 100 yards up to this door, and we're going to film every bit of it because it's going to be an 8-hour long movie for no reason. And what I don't get is, it's a fictional movie. You can make it up. Something can happen. Okay. You're not bound by history. And yet we have movies based on mobsters that are based in history that are way more exciting. Okay. That's the end of my rant. But that's why people stay away from the Godfather game. I've got to tell you, it's got to be, because it appealed to people that are now 80 years old. So they're not out there buying games. That being said, it's a spot on my shelf right there behind me, because the game is, as Chris would say, is French kiss. The game is just amazing. It's got to be in my top 5 at least of games all time. I've never had a bad time playing it. You can know you're going to lose and have a blast playing Godfather. That's what's so good about it. And yes, I so wish they had just done no IP. It was just called Mobsters Incorporated or something. The only thing Godfather about it is you've got Marlon Brando images throughout the game. That's it. There's no other connection to the movie. So it can be a generic theme. And so that's my only gripe about it. But yes, awesome game. That's on my shelf. I'll quickly get through these others. Yes, Jaws is 1 versus many, Daniel. 1 shark, many people getting eaten. So that's what that one is like. The other 2 I've actually had and traded. So I've got to decide one of these to play, and it's going to be Jaws. Jaws is the one I'm going to play, because I think I might not have kept it long enough to give it its due. I thought this game group that I played with was going to really like it. I had a blast with it at Gen Con. I got it, and then I could never get people to catch on to it. It's one of those where if you're the shark, you can play like secret moves and all this. And so I just quit doing secret moves because people were having a hard time with it. And they still couldn't figure out where I was. I'm like, I just 8 people here and I can only move up to 2. I played no secret moves. Why are you searching on the other side of the board? It's like, what are you doing? But anyway, so I guess by default, even though I kind of like them both the same, Godzilla Tokyo Clash has got to go just because Unmatched is so much better. It's nothing bad about Tokyo Clash. It's a great game. It really is. But there's no more to it other than the monsters that come with it. Highly detailed colored monsters, which are amazing. So these are all good games, I would say. But yeah, by default, Godzilla is going to go away. I wish it got the villainous treatment where it kept getting more guys coming out, but it's not going to. So sorry I went long there, but hey, it was a long movie. It took a long gripe. So
all right, so we're a board game podcast and stuff like that, but we're talking about this, so I have to defend this movie now again. I'm defending it, and I think you're going to be surprised on it. Okay, so I did not see this movie, any of the 3, until about a year ago. Okay. I had literally never seen them. I'd always heard they were incredible and blah blah blah, right? And I watched it, and I walked away from the first one thinking, I get it. I get why people think this is the greatest movie of all time. In the same way they think Gone with the Wind's the greatest movie of all time, The Wizard of Oz, all those classics, the ones that people are like, these are just top 10s, they're greatest ever. You need to watch them if you're a movie buff or anything like that. Because at the time, they were groundbreaking. If you watch other movies from the same time when the original Godfather was made, they are awful. The audio is terrible. The cinematography is awful. Like, this thing was a beacon of light in a dark world of cinema at the time. So, and then when you have that, you think about that forever. And like, oh, that's why it's so great. But based on current standards, yeah, it's a real bore. And 2 and 3 just get worse and worse. They just stupid, actually. But I understand why it's held in such regard, even though it's not that very good anymore. So,
Chris, that argument is the argument of why we should still play Monopoly today. Because in the 20s, it was groundbreaking, revolutionary. No one has seen anything like it. So you should still play it today.
You're the one that wanted to do a show about it. That was your idea, not mine.
I know.
I thought it was a terrible idea to do a show about Monopoly.
My point is, time ages things, and you got to be able to look at it and go, you know what, this doesn't hold up. And I haven't watched it myself, so I'm going to take John's word for it that it doesn't hold up because time makes fools of us all. To quote,
that's what I'm saying. It actually doesn't hold up. It's just fine. It's not even all that good, but comparatively to at the time, it was groundbreaking. So, but even with board games. I agree. Like, people don't like Catan anymore, and yes, it has its flaws, but I also think it's just that a little change away from being still great for those that have played for a long time. But then you got people who like Daniel who think just because it's old, it's not good anymore. He has those dark colored glasses, not rose colored glasses, dark colored glasses for old games, and he's got rose colored glasses for current games. But I know the people watching the show are not idiots like Daniel, and they have good opinions and good thoughts. So when you have those, please put those in the comments below, and disregard the responses of the idiot Daniel who makes to your comments. Just disregard him. Look at the ones I give you. I'm going to shoot you straight. But also like, share, and subscribe.
Hey, thanks for watching a clip from Around the Board. It's a show that comes out every other Thursday where we discuss board games and board game topics. We're awarded points, and at the end, whoever wins gets to be on their soapbox and say whatever they want. So if you want to watch the full episode, find the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.